Brilliant, brilliant. Brian, we haven't heard from you yet. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Any stories about accidents, falling off the stage?
I fell off the stage nearly every night. I'm trying to think, really. Yeah, I remember Ed coming to Leeds, I think it was, and I think the first time he saw me, Bruce counts in Foot Tapper, sort of, and Bruce just kept turning around to me and going, up, and I'm going, oh, it's there, that's where it is. And he wants it. Bruce was always leaning forward, wanted to speed it up, And I just stopped in front of the whole crowd and got my drumsticks and said to Bruce, look, if you want to drive this fucking bus, these are the sticks. And the audience are sitting there bemused. And Ed, the first introduction to Ed, really, and he thought that was fabulous,
Yeah, I think it was great.
Brilliant.
I've been in that sort of situation with Jess Conrad. I was doing a thing called Kings and Queens of Rock and Roll.
Oh, yeah.
And the only time I ever thought that Jess was funny. But anyway, we're doing Kings. And then it was, what's her name? She did Bobby's Girl. What's her name? Susan Maughan.
On.
And she's doing, and she was absolutely pissed out of her head. And I mean, falling about. We finished the show and we had the everybody come out on stage, all singing, all this business. And she's hanging onto the PA system, like the speakers at the side, stopped herself falling over. And she's going, roar! Do you want some more? Do you want some more? Yes, I think you've had a fucking enough.
I could enjoy
the only time in my life I ever thought Jeff Stanley was talented and funny.
I could join the drummers in a sense because when I was at university, tried to join a band. There were too many bass players already. And I discovered a couple of bands needed drummers, so I learned enough to be able to play. I was in a jazz trio, like a 10th rate Oscar Peterson kind of thing. And during one of our balls, we're playing in a room, and Brian Auger walks past. He'd been playing with the Trinity in another room, and said, "Mind if I sit in?" Well, we were excited because this is a real musician from London wanted to play with us. It was fantastic. So he sat at the piano and said, "Let's just do a blues." And I thought, well, that's good. I'll be able to cope with this. And he counted at a tempo that was frightening. And within seconds, I got no hope of playing time or anything. And my arm became locked in a kind of like those big crabs with one big claw.
Yes, I know the feeling.
Just doing this. And halfway through this thing, I'm sweating. He says, right, fours, trading 4 bars. So, and he does a wonderful set of 4 bars. I just do this for 4 bars. It was horrible. And at the end of it, he said, nice.
So, but there was, I'm taking over here, and I was doing a session at Deccar, and Frank Clark, you remember Frank Clark, bass player?
Yeah.
Lovely man. He was so nice. And we're doing this session there. And there was a guitar player, I can't think of his name, but he was a pain in the arse. And every time there was a break in the middle of the thing, where, everybody stopped. And he kept on going on. So Frank sort of leaned across and says, "Oh, nice guitar you got there, son." He went, "Yeah," he said, "Gibson." He said, "Oh." He said, "Yeah, she got gold nuts and he said, "No, very high. It hasn't got any fucking disc brakes, has it?"
My Clem story, my favourite Clem story is I was doing a session for Demis Roussos, and
Yes.
Clem was on drums. It was Chapels, and
The Greek tent.
the engineer was sort of saying we seem to be having a bit of a problem with the bass drum, and so they said to Clem, "Clem, we've got a problem with the bass drum, And Clem's answer is, "Well, it was all right when it left here, cock." Fabulous. Fabulous.
Well, Clem is the winder-upper of engineers, the noisy microphone.
Oh, blimey, yeah, with the sweet paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. Decker again. And, can you just speak to me on the overhead mic? I went, yeah. And I went, what? And I got the sweet paper and I was going like that to the thing. So it was getting, I think there's something wrong with the mic. I'll come and change it. Come and change it. Can we hear it again? I went, yeah, that's this one. With free paper again. And then about after the 4th or 5th time, everybody was in the hysterics. I wasn't very popular though.
Session days, they seem to be much more fun in those days. I don't.
Oh,
think
they were.
I think
Yeah,
I think we actually saw the best of it.
without a doubt.
And I can't believe, looking at the old diaries, when you actually see a 10 to 1, 2 to 5, and 7 to 10, you think,
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
How did I do it?
I can't believe doing one of those. You know,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have to have a week's holiday after one of those now. But we used to do hundreds.
I've just made a list, Brian, of every album I played on. And it was 290 albums.
Really, bloody hell.
I looked at the list and I couldn't recognise half of them. I don't even remember being there.
That's right.
Well, I remember I was
Yeah.
reading Clem. I mean, as we know, you've played on so many things, and as we said earlier, 42 UK #1.
So I've been told, yeah. I don't believe it.
We often joke on this program about how I once worked with Lou Reed and Bruce Forsyth at the same time on the same stage, which was bizarre.
Yeah.
But I read that you have played on a Lou Reed album as well as
I
a
did.
Wombles album. I mean,
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, yes. Chalk and cheese. Yes, I did. And that's the funny part about it is that on that Lou Reed album, there's a number called The Ocean. And I was on Timps. I played Timps, believe it or not, Pete. I actually played Timps. I didn't tune them, but I
There's
played.
posh.
Yeah, it was bish posh. Anyway, we finished up thing and we're in the listening to playback. And he says to me, Lou, yes, he said, you've got the right atmosphere there, Clem. I could see that you were seeing the ocean, and they gave me all bullshit he was giving me. And I was thinking to myself, no, cop, all I was thinking about, I want to get home and have me tea.
Clem,
Yes,
do you remember? I think we joined the Cliff Richard band at the same
we
time.
did, yes, we did, yes.
1977. And the first gig was the Knocker Song Festival in Belgium.
Oh, yes, right.
We got on a Boeing, what do you call it? They lift out the water, a jet foil.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
250
that was hilarious, yes.
Well, it's an amazing machine doing 70 miles an hour across the North Sea. We did the song festival, and it was fine. But of course, we're a band and we go out and get silly. Next morning, I felt terrible. And we get back on the jet fall again. And I sat on the front seat so I could look at the horizon and try and be calm. Clem sat behind me and kept calling the waiter, saying, "Waiter, my friend here needs another pork chop, please."
Oh, the best bit though, if you remember, they gave us a form. It was a test trial to go to. Yeah, so we go. What did you think of the ride? Was it nice and steady? Oh, and Mo's gone, and instead of sort of ticking it off, he's got a great big swiggle all down the page.
Great ride.
Oh dear.
I'd just like to ask the session guys we've got here. Have you ever, I've always wanted to know this, have any of you ever been faced with a part that you
Yes,
cannot play?
very
Yeah.
often.
Everyone. One of the things that they're always, you learn to read and you think you can sight read and things, but every time you go in, this is my experience anyway, you go into a session and you creep over so that no one sees you and you just look round the corner to see the part,
Yeah.
just to make sure that's not the day you're going to get sent home. And when you look at a Johnny Pearson drum part, it's like fly shit.
Yes,
But it's the most logical fly shit you've ever seen. You actually look and think, this is the day I'm going to get sent home.
Well, I
So what he would Johnny Pearson would write out every
fill.
oh yeah,
phrase
every
of
Phil, a lot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that was through a lot Brian's experience, the same as mine. Used to go into session, and I hope you weren't going to get roasted. That I invented a session kit, which is a pair of plastic-lined asbestos trousers and a pen for roast
Tackle
stands,
flips.
and a pencil with a rubber.
I think the hardest thing for drummers was just getting set up, and one of the problems that assistant engineers used to set the whole studio up, and you'd have 20 string players all in a big heap, and then the drum booth was right through them, so you had to get them all out.
That's right. Yeah. Oh.
I got caught out on a big session at Abbey Road, 73. I started playing and was bluffing. I couldn't read at first. I'd done a different discipline, but I could listen. I could improvise, so I'd fit around what everybody else was playing. And this was a big orchestra, 50-piece orchestra in Abbey Number 2, and 9-piece rhythm section. Harold Fisher was on drums, and I was getting through it. And then halfway through the second session, the MD, was David Rose, the guy who wrote Stripper.
Yeah.
He cuts the entire band and says, "Mr. Bass Player, would you please play bars 73 to 90 something for me?" Of course, the whole orchestra turns and looks at this victim. I'm happing myself, and I played something, and he was incredibly kind. He said, "Well, it's not what I've written, but it'll do."
You were lucky.
With drum parts, I don't know about you, Clem, but most arrangers haven't a clue of how to write a drum part.
Correct.
They don't know the mechanics of the kit.
No.
So you look at it and you think, well, first of all, you get roasted and you think you're going to get a sent home. And then you actually go, you just look at it and you think what they really mean is this. And then you just give them a good groove and that's it, really.
Oh, I've had the situation where I couldn't read the parts. I played what I wanted to play. And the guy turned, the MD turned around and says, "I've been up all night writing the effing part. I don't fucking play it." I'll go home.
Yeah.
This is where the wind-up occurs, of course, as well. I was doing I can't remember what the series was, something for Ray Russell. We were at BBC Studios in Sheffield. And he'd written, like Brian said, you look through the parts beforehand, just look for any horrible bits. And Q17 was a blaze of stuff, all in very ledger lines above the stave. And it was on fretless. What is this? Come on, Ray. What is? He said, "Don't worry, it's just a nightclub scene, just you and congas."
I took my classic one where I decided one day I had to learn to read. I was doing a session and I was late. I was still laying in the bed. The phone rang. "Where are you?" "I'm in bed." "You're supposed to be in here. It's 10 o'clock. The session started 10 o'clock. So I rushed out the pie. It took me about an hour and a half to get there. I walked into Tony Hatch, who was an arsehole anyway. And
You hear that, Tony?
I've told him that more than once. Don't worry. Anyway, we're sitting there. The first part, he said, "Right, we'll do a take." Gives me the part 9/8. I went, 9/8? What the? It was 9/8. I had trouble reading 4/4, never about 9/8. Anyway, we had a bit of a conversation. I said, "Look, Tony," I said, "I'm sorry, I can't work under these conditions. You're harassing me like this. Get somebody else." So I packed my gear up and I remember Pie, the big studio, bro. I walked up the steps out and see with the drum kit on my back. And the only thing I could think about, I turned around and I said, "I've been slung out of better bands than yours, mate." That was the day I thought I better go and learn to read.
I did a session for Tony and Jackie Trent, and we're talking about dummy lyrics. Do you all know what that is? Where the writer writes just a phrase that fits the melody till he gets the real lyrics.
Mm.
And up came the song, and you've probably heard of "Yesterday" was Scrambled Eggs originally.
Yeah.
Up came the Petula Clark song, "Don't Sleep in the Subway." And Jackie's original lyric for that was "Don't shit in the custard."
Oh, she was great, actually, Jackie.